Rick, congratulations on the Good Guy Award. We were going to have our next presenter be Boston City Councilor Michelle Wu, but she had to step out, I'm sorry to say. But a staffer to that councilor is here, Julia Leja, I believe I got that right. Staffer to Councilor at Large, Michelle Wu. I saw you over there studying your notes, so I thought that must be the stand-in. Come on up. Our next honoree is going to be Leverett Wing.
Hi, I am not Michelle Wu, but she asked me that I could deliver these remarks on her behalf. She's still at the services for Michael Kennedy, so I'm sorry that she's not with us today. To MWPC friends, honored guests, and especially Leverett, I had been looking forward to being with you all at the Good Guys Awards for months. What could be better than celebrating the Mass Women's Political Caucus, celebrating one of my favorite people in the world? Thank you for giving me the chance to share some thoughts through Julia as the services for firefighter Michael Kennedy keep me from being with you in person. I couldn't be prouder that one of the best of the good guys, my dear friend Leverett Wing, is being honored by MWPC today. As a former MWPC Young Professionals board member, I know how much the organization does and how meaningful the Good Guys Awards are. Leverett stands in good company of former award recipients, Governor Patrick, Mayor Menino, Paul Lee, Hubie Jones, and the gentleman being honored here today. Leverett is listed in the program as a political and community mobilizer, which is the understatement of the year. He is a hub of the community and a hero in the Asian Pacific American community, bringing together thousands every year to hear from candidates, attend state convention, and get involved with campaigns and government. He organizes an incredibly well-attended conversations with the candidate series in Chinatown. He is also an exceptional and devoted organizer for and supporter of women in politics, like Charlotte Golar-Ritchie, Fitchburg Mayor Lisa Wong, Newton Alderwoman Amy Ma Sanjolo, State Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, and many more. His wisdom and leadership is valuable beyond measure. When I first came to Boston and started looking to get involved, Leverett's name kept coming up in every conversation. Everyone would say I had to meet Leverett Wing. I finally got up the courage to call him and left a message saying, "Hi, I'm Michelle, and so-and-so recommended I reach out to you, and also so-and-so, oh, and this other person," and on and on. I said about 8 names, felt really awkward, and then just hung up on the message quickly. Somehow, Leverett called back, and we had lunch, and I was so surprised at how down-to-earth he is, how warm and willing to help. Not only did Leverett give me great advice and guidance, but Leverett and his family, his wife Marion, his son Leighton, quickly became close friends to me and my family. He is thoughtful, kind, and always there when you need him. I'm proud to be a city councilor, but one of the titles that comes very close in terms of importance is Leighton's babysitter. Leverett was one of the first I called in asking for help, thinking through whether or not to run for office, and he is always one of the first calls in times of personal and family matters. I could not be prouder to know him. Leverett is community-minded, a vigilante feminist, as my sister described, a silo breaker, a member of countless boards and community groups, including the Asian Task Force Against Domestic Violence, where he's served on the board of directors for over a decade. I'm so proud to introduce Leverett today. He is my friend, my mentor, and an incredibly good guy. Congratulations.
Oh man, it's a good thing she's not here. I would end up crying or something like that. But thank you, Julia. That was fantastic. Julia and I were sharing sort of nervous laughter and looking at our watches and saying, okay, is she coming? Is she coming? Is she coming? But I am so grateful that Michelle is out doing her job. She's supporting the families of the fallen firefighters, showing them how much we appreciate them, how much we support them, and everything that they do. So if you could send that back to Michelle, I'll text her as well, and we'll do that. But I am grateful to Michelle and her family for their friendship. I've learned as much from them as she says she's learned from me. I've learned about staying positive. I've learned about toughness. I've learned about being optimistic, and that's just in the last 5 months from Michelle. I cherish her and her family's friendship, and I look forward to working with her and being her most ardent supporter in whatever endeavor that she undertakes. And I am incredibly lucky to have Michelle as a friend. As lucky as I feel to have Michelle as a friend, I feel incredibly unlucky today. And that, I know it's a little bit odd to say receiving a prestigious award today, but let me tell you why. For whatever reason, I always seem to have the misfortune, whenever I speak somewhere, of going last. Now, it's not just because people are looking at their watches like, oh my God, it's almost 1:30, I got to get back to work. Yeah, I've been here for an hour and a half. But, I always have the misfortune of going after some of the most dynamic, amazing people that you'll ever want to meet. The most memorable of which I think happened maybe 7-8 months ago. John Walsh, you remember this because you're the one who did this to me. We were at this huge Communities of Color event, maybe 300, 400 people. And John walks up to me and he says, Leverett, can you come here? We have a bit of a dilemma. And, the John Walsh head bob, And he goes, Linda Dorsina Forey was supposed to speak, but wasn't able to make it. Can you fill in? And I'm thinking, well, okay, those are incredibly big shoes to fill, but sure, I'll introduce someone. I'll get some FaceTime, and then I'll go eat mini egg rolls for the rest of the night. So sure. When do I speak? And John points to himself and he goes, well, first it'll be me, then it'll be Mo Cowan, then it'll be Ed Markey, and then it'll be Governor Patrick, and then you'll close. And so for the first time in my life, I must have had a poker face because John just kept staring at me, waiting for a response. And clearly he didn't smell the mess that I had made in my pants at that very moment. But he just kept waiting for me. And I had this internal voice saying to me, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't you dare say yes. Do what Nancy Reagan says and just say no. So naturally, what comes out of my mouth is, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And my internal voice, of course, says, you idiot. What the heck are you doing? So I did it, and I think it went pretty well. I did okay. Thank you, John's giving me the thumbs up. So fast forward to today, and when I looked at the roster, and I thought to myself, great, they'll put me first. I'll warm up the crowd, then I'll go eat because, to me, it's all about finishing the day on eating. But no. Instead, Samantha puts me last. So I get to go after a legend. I get to go after one of the most powerful people in the state, and I get to go after three of the most amazing Uber mover and shakers in the country. And so so thanks, MWPC. No pressure here. But seriously, as much as I joke that I'm feeling unlucky, I really am blessed to be here today. I'm in the room, as they say, and I get to share the stage with some of the most dynamic, best-known figures in the entire nation. So I really am grateful to MWPC for giving me this opportunity. Thank you to Priti Rao. Thank you to Samantha. I really am thanking you, Samantha. And to MWPC's president, Patricia Lynch. And thank you to MWPC for all the amazing work that they do. They've played integral roles in helping a number of my friends who have run for office, besides Michelle, besides Senator Sina Forey. They've been staunch supporters of Fitchburg Mayor Lisa Wong and my dear friend Charlotte Goulart-Ritchie, who are at my tables. And I encourage everyone here to continue to support the mission of the caucus and the great work that they do to build leaders and to increase political and civic participation by women. And clearly, I'm all in on that. If you look at my tables, and I've got 3 of them, they're filled with some of my closest friends and longtime community partners. And you can also see that the vast majority of these friends and partners are women. So I bet the farm that I'm not standing here before you receiving this prestigious award if it were not for women and all the women in my life. There are a few guys at my table, and they're all good guys, by the way. I mentioned John Walsh. We also have Paul Lee, a former Good Guy Award winner, Jeff Y. Yes, you can applaud. So, but I'm going to name everybody at my table, so don't applaud after everybody there. So we've got Anna Pamwali and Michael Dalton. But the women outnumber the men by at least 3 to 1. And that doesn't even include women like Colette Phillips, Chi-Chi Wu, Alejandra Senguien, Michelle's sister Sherelle, who came up with the vigilante feminist line, and Linda Chin from the Asian Task Force Against Domestic Violence. They couldn't make it here today, so they would have outnumbered the men by at least 4 or 5 to 1 if they had all come. My son Leighton, he asked for a shout out, and I'm going to give you a shout out. He is also one of the few males at the table, and he and I have these things called dad lessons, which he can't stand. Okay. See, he can't stand it. But there is a dad lesson that I would love for you to take from today, and that is women rule. And if they don't, then they probably should. From actually when I was his age, actually younger than that, it's women who have been pushing, guiding, supporting, and partnering with me to get me to where I am today. As a matter of fact, I think Senator O'Connor Ives, are you still here? Her mom was my kindergarten teacher. And so without your mom, when I was age 5, I would have hated school, and I would have never ever gone if I needed to go. So thank you to your mom. She's just an example of women who have been supporting me ever since I was younger. And 2 women who lead that group are my late mother and my wife. My dad was a great guy, but it was my mom who was my moral and emotional compass. And I don't think it's any coincidence that my wife and the majority of my friends are also strong, smart, no-nonsense, dynamic women. But that's a psychoanalysis for another time. Yes, very Freudian. My wife, Marion, is one of those strong, no-nonsense women, and I can't do anything, and I don't do anything without her support and love. So thank you, and thank you for putting up with me. I've got longtime friends like Bick Ng, who was my very first co-chair for an event. Audrey Peck, who I call the gold standard. A longtime friend Sherry Dong. I think I saw Grace Lee here earlier today. Newton Alderman Amy Ma Sangiolo, the longest sitting Asian American elected official in Massachusetts today. Mentors like Neelam Wally and Margie Yamamoto, who'll help walk me through all sorts of political and professional minefields, and more recent partners. I mentioned Lisa and Charlotte, and you were supposed to hear from Michelle, but dynamic women like Jackie Jenkins Scott from Wheelock College, who's represented here by another dynamic woman, Marta Rosa, Christina Chan, Helen Chen Schlichte, Janelle Chan, and Emily Yu. Not only have they been great partners in so many of my endeavors, but in particular, folks like Michelle, Amy, Christina, and Emily have helped get me through some incredibly tough times. And along with my wife, they put up with a lot, as you can probably tell. And all of them are the reasons that I've been able to do pretty much all the crazy things that I try to do. But there's one person in particular who I have not mentioned yet, who's sitting at my table, without whom none of this happens. And I want to give that person an extra special shout out. You know, during life that there are these metaphorical intersections where your life could go one way or the other. When I was a senior in college, 5 years ago, of course, when I was a senior in college, do the math, I was all set to go to law school. I was probably going to end up in either New York or Chicago, and I was going to be a lawyer, and life would have turned out completely different. Well, my college advisor and head of the Asian American Center at Tufts University, Linnell Yugawa, took me aside and said to me that she couldn't picture me, and I quote, in the bowels of a law library. So she suggested that I apply to a couple of public policy schools, and with her help, I ended up at the Kennedy School of Government. I stuck around Boston, graduated from the Kennedy School, ended up at the State House working for Tom Birmingham, and life has never been the same. So Linnell, can you stand up, please? No. No, you gotta stay standing. So if it's okay with you, I'd be honored if I could share this award with you today. I know we're going to be taking pictures afterwards, so if you could come up and take pictures with me, I would be honored. Without you, none of this happens. I don't stick around Boston. I almost certainly don't meet my wife, Marion. So, hun, maybe you should blame her for your dilemma. I very don't likely meet any of the folks who are sitting at my table or friends and partners today, and I certainly don't end up on this stage. So you pointed me in the right direction. Your guidance is what led me down this path, so thank you. And again, thank all of you for indulging me in that during this speech. Again, thank you to all my friends for taking the time to come out today. And thank you once more to MWPC for all the work that you do. I'm truly honored to have been just a small part of today's festivities. Thank you.
Leverett Wing, congratulations, and congratulations again to all our honorees here today, Frank Bellotti, Richard Taylor, Mark Riley, State Senator Stan Rosenberg, Rick Kelleher, and, as I said, Leverett Wing. And I think everybody did a pretty good time keeping to their allotted times, except I was thinking we might need a couple of days of solitary confinement for Sheriff Bellotti, so he would really understand the passage of time. Nice job anyway, Sheriff there. So to wrap up today's ceremonies, I want to bring back Samantha Washburn-Baroni, the Acting Executive Director of the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus. Thank you very much.
Okay, got to bring this down now. Thank you, Emily, and a special thanks to all of our good guys for all that you do to help even the playing field for women in Massachusetts. Congratulations on your very well deserved recognition.